If you're looking to buy a stacked NBA 2K account with max badges and more, visit sportstmb.com. He has been in the community for years and has hundreds of reviews. Click the first link in the description to get your account today.
So far this season, we have had some ridiculous individual performances from players on the year. I seriously don't understand how DeAndre Ayton and John Collins are the only players who have been caught using drugs, because it feels like there's a handful of players out there using the strongest shit there is. We have Luka averaging a 30-point triple-double at age 20. Luka is literally one day off from being born on my birthday 1 year prior, though 1 year ago in 1999, my birthday wouldn't have existed because I was born on a leap day. But still, Luka is out here averaging a 30-point triple-double, not even allowed to legally drink, while me, just a year younger, is making a video about him, also not legally allowed to drink. We have James Harden getting nearly 40 points per game, which hasn't happened since fucking Wilt Chamberlain. There's Karl Anthony Towns, a 7-foot, 250-pound man shooting 42% from 3 on 9 3-point attempts a game, which is something we have never seen before. Seriously, Cat is probably going to pass Dirk as the greatest 7-foot shooter of all time. It's why I've said that I believe Cat can become the greatest offensive center ever, because there is simply no other 5 in the NBA's history that can score inside and out on the level that Cat can. In the same vein as Luka Doncic, Trae Young is averaging 28 and 8 as a 21-year-old. These dudes are barely 20, and I'm nearly 20. Am I a failure? Yeah, I'm a failure. Anyways, the point is there have been some incredible numbers coming from guys this year, but there is one dude who is also putting out some pretty wild numbers, albeit probably not as wild as some of the ones above, and that guy is Bradley Beal. Now, I understand why the mainstream media would not be talking about Bradley Beal. If your team isn't winning or you're not a huge name, the mainstream media is only going to talk about you if it's a slow day. But I don't even see Bradley Beal getting attention from NBA nerds, people who talk about the more niche players in the league. Like, even diehards are not paying that much attention to this guy. So let's talk about why Bradley Beal is the most underrated player in the league this year. As you could read in the thumbnail, Bradley Beal is putting up 28 points per game. That puts him in the top 5 in scoring, but on top of that, he is averaging 7.3 assists per game, 4.3 rebounds, and he is doing this shooting 47, 34, 84. The field goal percentage for his usage rate, as well as him being one of the few offensive weapons on this team, is great. Actually, 47% is pretty damn good for a player that's my height. The 3-point percentage isn't great. However, he is taking the lowest amount of assisted threes in his career, which is still 71%, but still he's taking more pull-up threes, more in-defender face threes, and that tends to result in a lower 3-point percentage. When you look at Bradley Beal's 3-point percentages over the past few years, it's gradually gone down as his assisted percentage has gone down. It's actually a fairly similar trend to Devin Booker, who to open his career was compared to Klay Thompson with his 3-point shooting prowess, but as time went on, Booker became less and less of a catch-and-shoot guy, opting for more and more pull-ups, and as time has gone on, his percentage has gone down, but you could argue it's made him a better overall shooter. So Beal is putting up a very efficient 28 points per game, but I'm sure some of you are thinking those have gotta be empty numbers, right? I mean, the Wizards are losing. Well, one, Beal has proven himself to be a guy who can help a team win in the past. He hasn't proven it in the role that he is currently playing, but still, he can win you games. But when you're looking at an offensive player, comparing their offensive production to the team's offensive rating, I think is a good indicator of if those are empty numbers or not, barring injuries and all of that. If a dude is putting up 25 points per game, but his team is 25th in offensive rating, those are probably empty numbers. But the Washington Wizards are currently the 3rd highest ranked offense in the NBA. And that has come in spite of this team being pretty lacking in offensive talent, besides Beal or just talent in general. Isaiah Thomas, as well as the occasional Rui Hachimura pull-up midi, is the only real shot creation on this team, and Isaiah and Rui are only getting 13 points a game apiece, so it's not like they're setting the world on fire. And as a quick side note, Isaiah Thomas has played really great this year and he deserves some credit for it. Not good enough to really help Beal, but good enough to be a solid contributor. Davis Bertans, who I've always felt was pretty underrated, has been great as a stretch big man, shooting 46% from downtown on 7.6 attempts a game. Thomas Bryant is a solid starting center that's getting 14 points per game. Mo Wagner has provided scoring off of the bench, and Ish Smith can play make a little bit, but that is it. The offensive talent on this team is pretty minimal, but with Bradley Beal, he's been able to consistently get them over the 130 point mark. They had 133 versus the Celtics, 137 versus the Timberwolves, 138 versus the Spurs, 140 versus the Suns, and a whopping 158 goddamn points versus the Houston Rockets. A game where Bradley Beal had 46 points on 70% shooting. So I think Bradley Beal has more than proven himself to be one of the best offensive players in the league. The dude is a perfect 3-level scorer. A really good 3-point shooter, he has a great handle on the ball, and of course with that really good jump shot, he is deadly in the mid-range, and he has the touch to be one of the better floater shooters in the NBA. And even though Beal is only 6'3", he is very muscular, which allows for him to finish through contact, with him shooting a freakish 75% at the basket this year. To put that into perspective, Giannis last year shot 77% at the basket. Now he's obviously taking more attempts, but he also has way more of a size advantage, so I think it kind of balances out. The point is, shooting 75% at the rim as someone who is 6'3" is remarkable. The league average percentage at the rim is 65%, and that's coming from players who are on average 6'7". Now as for his 7 assists per game, I feel that's more of a product of his team really needing him to do a lot and not him actually being that good of a passer. He's typically a 4 assists per game type of guy, which for someone who is primarily a scorer, that isn't bad, but this year with Beal, you know how when you're playing 2K's My Career and your CPU teammates have the collective IQ of the amount of celebrities and NBA players that actually like Ronnie 2K, and you just say, fuck it, I'm gonna do everything for this team? That's basically what Bradley Beal has done this year. And if you wanted any more evidence of Beal's production being 100% legit, even though I do not like this stat, Beal is one of the 4 players on this Wizards team with a positive plus-minus. And the 3 guys who also have a positive net rating are playing primarily in lineups with Bradley Beal. This is a team that is losing by on average 3 points per game, so basically the Wizards lose the game when Beal sits. That's a big problem with this Wizards team. They really need Bradley Beal to be in the game for them to be a competent team. But outside of that, with Beal carrying this offense to truly remarkable heights, why are they just 6-13? Well, to put it as simply as possible, this team doesn't play any fucking defense. You have Isaiah Thomas in your starting lineup. Beal isn't much of a factor one way or the other on defense. Rui has shown signs of being a defender, but he's still just a rookie. Davis Bertans and Mo Wagner don't play defense. Thomas Bryant is solid, but nothing game-changing defensively. They really have almost no defense on this team, which is why the Wizards are dead last in defensive rating, giving up 123 points per game on average, which is 3.8 more points per game than the next in line at 29th worst in defense, which would be the New Orleans Pelicans. So as good as this team is offensively with Bradley Beal, they are equally worse defensively. This is a very weird team. Now, like I said, they are losing by an average 3 points per game, so there is a chance that they could start winning more games. I think there's a real chance that they could slip into the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, especially if they get some contributors in the buyout market or maybe make a trade or two, but ultimately, I really just wish that this Wizards team would trade Bradley Beal. The guy is a very talented offensive player and he deserves to be put into a situation where he can thrive as a second option on a championship level team. Just trade him to the Nuggets for Gary Harris and Michael Porter Jr. He and Jokic can crazy offense themselves to a ring. And that trade would make sense for the Wizards because Michael Porter Jr. is a solid young player to build around. Anyways, that is Bradley Beal. I understand the Wizards are not winning a lot of games this year, but I feel he deserves credit for the offensive production he's put up this year. Dude is having a great season, and I wish him the best. Hashtag free Beal. No one likes you, Ronnie 2K. And that's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.